All right, should be good to go. I'll just take a short pause. We'll jump into it, okay?
Okay.
All right. Alrighty, welcome back to another Independent Artist Spotlight. I am your host, Jason Bordeaux, on behalf of Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah from the Trackstarz Radio Show and Podcast. This Independent Artist Spotlight, I have with me an artist that I've just been introduced to, and I'm glad to get to know him, Mr. Jamal Brown. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Hey, how you
Awesome,
doing?
man. Awesome to have you on the Independent Artist Spotlight, man. Let people know you have a new single out called War, and which is really good. It's self-produced, which is and it sounds good. And this isn't to put down any other artist who produces their own stuff, but a lot of times it feels like people are experimenting with production and they
Mm-hmm.
don't quite have it down pat
Right,
yet, and then
right,
you can kind of tell. I tell
right,
people all the time, whenever I see something that says I produced this myself, I mixed and mastered it myself, I wrote it, I rapped
right.
it, that's not
Mm-hmm.
always a good thing.
Right.
So,
That's true.
but yeah, man. So let's just jump into kind of who you are, how you got started into music, and even maybe share your testimony if you want to.
Definitely, man. And I do appreciate, you saying you like the song. Like you said, it took me a while to get my production together. I started in music in church. Me and my brother, my twin brother, started singing in children's choir while we were really young. And we were always just around music. My mom kept us around the church, kept us around gospel music. And my dad, on the other hand, he liked to listen to, funk and rock and roll and a little bit of hip hop. So we were introduced to, different styles and genres, pretty young. And we just got a locking to different, those different styles of music. So I started singing. And when I was about 7 or 8, my mom got me a little keyboard, a little Casio keyboard. I started picking out on the keyboard when I was young. Out in church, everyone wanted to play the drums, but there were so many people trying to play the drums that I just said, "Hey, I'm going to try this piano thing out, man." So started doing that at a young age, man. By the time I would say maybe in high school, about 16 or 17, man, I started to start writing my own music. Before then, me and my brother, we were, part of chorus. We were part of a traveling choir called the West Louisville Boys Choir. Because I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. Uh, I was born in Statesboro, Georgia, but me and my family we grew up in Louisville, Kentucky. Um, so we were part of a traveling choir, and since we were about 9 years old, we would travel across the country. More like a performance style choir. Did a lot of like spirituals and Latin music. So basically, my taste and style for music is kind of broad. So sometimes it can be hard when they consider you maybe just a rapper or maybe a hip hop artist because I do like different just different styles of music. Um, uh, I gave my life to Christ when I was really young, understanding what it was, understanding the faith. Um, not really understanding how to live it out and put it together just quite until I got a little bit older. But as the word says, you train a child up, and he'll never stray.
Right.
So I didn't really accept my call to ministry. I didn't really accept my call to doing music ministry. I wouldn't say until maybe about maybe like 19, 20 years old. Um, God, I was doing music at the time, but I was writing music, both R&B, both gospel. I was kind of just not really in my lane at this point. But when God called me, called me back because at a point in time in my life, like I said, I grew up in church, playing in church. I started playing in churches when I was in high school. So even though I was in the church, a lot growing up throughout my whole life, I didn't really understand the meaning of actually being in the church and actually being a light and actually being unashamed. I didn't really understand that at that point. Um, but when God called me and pulled me, and just told me just to go out to the world and to the unchurched, and maybe to the people who left the church or people who never did, never believed, the atheists, and just make good music, make music with a message. So that's what I've just been on, man. Just trying to just figure out, like you said, figure out how to perfect my craft, how to become a better writer, how to, collab with other artists and how to become a better producer, but most importantly, just how to be true to what you're standing about, what you're standing for. Um,
So
so
how'd you dive into learning about producing like hip hop?
right. Okay. I would say, like I said, I listened to hip hop my whole life. Started actually when we were 12 years old, me and my brother, and then one of our bigger brothers. He helped us out like writing gospel rap. So we knew about rap. Of course, we knew about mainstream rap and hip hop, but at this point, we were 12 years old. So this is about at least 12 years ago, man. So I mean, gospel rap. I mean, it was a known genre or subgenre, but it wasn't as popular. So we were in church. We were church boys. Our big brother was like, I'm writing this gospel. I'm writing this gospel song. He was writing it to Lil Boosie, uh, one of Lil Boosie's beats. So the beat was a good beat. So
Right.
we listened to him, and he's writing the lyrics, and it's just really powerful. Leading people to the light is blind. So, he's just putting words together. And we're like, wow. So, before you know it, that kind of, I would say that kind of started me into the hip hop genre as far as, rapping and learning how to rap about God or rap about real life. Production wise, I say that didn't happen until I actually got a little bit of money where I could actually start investing into myself. But just the ear, I would say, the ear for production just came from me being a musician, playing gospel music, just playing what I hear. So I say maybe when I was like 19, when I was maybe like 20, 21, I kind of started getting in production. It started simple with like GarageBand. And then I moved into Logic, I would say maybe when I was like 21, 22. And that's what I've been on. I use Logic. Like, is this hit or, it's trial and error really with production. You really got to just give yourself time and take criticism. Like I said, you got to have some hardware. That took time for me to get hardware and just learn from people. I have, friends who do it. So just kind of pick it up from them, of course, with YouTube. So, I mean, the world now, there's not really a lot of excuses. If you want to learn, you can definitely learn. I just had to, be patient and figure out this thing. And I think that now, this where I'm at now, I find myself getting better and understanding, production, better than I did.
Right. And you said something key. You got to have patience, and you got to have the willingness to invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the hardest thing is a lot of times people are waiting for folks to invest in you
Mm-hmm.
when you're not willing to
Mm-hmm.
invest in yourself and then
Right.
putting in the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've dabbled with production some, and
Mm-hmm.
for me, I don't see a career
Right.
for me to produce.
Right.
So it's just like, nah, I'll let somebody else master that
Right.
craft. And
Exactly.
so yeah, man. So who were some of your influences, kind of growing up in music? Who would you say? Well, with that wide variety of styles,
And
who would
exactly.
you
I'm
pick?
glad you said that. With a wide, because really, like I tell people, I started singing before I started rapping. So I call myself a singer rapper, which is, a lot of people say that they're singer rappers, but that's neither here nor there. That's another conversation. But I would say for me, my influences are wide. But when it comes to if I just specify hip hop or rap or pop, I would have to say, influences like, Michael Jackson and Tupac and um, artists like, um, actually, I do actually do look at even artists outside of the hip genre. I was influenced by like, James Brown, Sam Cooke, and gospel artists like Donnie McClurkin and Fred Hammond. So it's like I said, it was really hard growing up for me because I had to sneak and listen to secular music sometimes. My mother didn't allow us to really listen to a whole lot. So with my cousin, he would play, anything from, you got anything from Juicy J to, just like crazy type of artists, when we were younger, Afro Man, and, you would hear something ludicrous. And, so I mean, I would say, but my main inspiration to me, honestly, in music, um, will be artists more so like, Michael Jackson, Chris Brown, um, some of the popular artists that I look up to right now, actually. People like Lecrae, and I like people like Gavi. Just being true to not just as an artist, because everybody says they're artists, not just but just being true to being a creative for just not just for the culture, but just for the body, or just standing for something bigger than yourself. That's what I would say. People who inspire me. I try to inspire myself, really, because sometimes I feel like it's hard for me to compare myself to some, like a specific genre or a specific artist at times. So
Yeah, that's good. I think when you find inspiration from everybody else, what happens when everybody else leaves?
right.
So that's actually a good point. And so as far as producers go, who are some of your favorite producers?
All right,
And I know
wow.
you mentioned
That's a
Gavi
great
already.
question. Oh yeah, Gavi. If I go to the secular side, I like art. I like producers like Timberland, and um, I mean, of course, like Zaytoven, like Metro Boomin, and on the secular side. Unfortunately, it's like you don't really, me myself, I haven't really been able to get entrenched into the community of Christian producers, which I would love to. But I mean, at this point, producers that I actually know of, I know their work. Gavi, Zaytoven, Timberland, guys like London, Metro Boomin. I kind of like those guys. But also, I just listen to just musicians also, like not necessarily maybe someone who's considered a producer, but I like to listen to bands, because I
Right.
am a musician, so I like to listen to live bands, which also is an inspiration, or like listen to some Maybach music, which I don't really know who does a lot of the cutting and producing for Rick Ross, but just listen to those live instrumental sounds, like live guitars and saxophones, and I kind of like that side as well as like the more like trap or pop side of producing. But those guys, to name a few, are definitely guys I look up to their style.
So one more question before we jump into the new single "War." What was the last song you heard that gave you the ugliest stink face?
Ooh, the last song I heard, it had to be. That's a good question. I would say the last song I heard was this one. Actually, I really like it. It's a song that just dropped by 1K Few. I don't want to say What Up RG. I've been trying to listen to those guys a little bit more. I know they're pretty popular, definitely in the Christian community. I think this song is called Drip Bleed. They dropped it pretty recently, but I really like just the words, I like the style, and then I do love the product. I love the production on that beat. It's just really like it's really dripped. It's just really put together really well. So I would say that one, the most recent, the Drip Bleed. I think it's off of their little. They did like a little two single drop called Birds or something like that. I don't know. But
Gotcha.
1K Feed, whatever. Yeah, I like that track. That's nice.
Cool, cool. All right, man. So let's jump in. You got this new single "War."
Oh yeah.
The premise that we have the article for it up on the website, and
Hmm.
like I said, you self produced it, and you're
Hmm.
bringing awareness to depression and suicide. Is that something that you had struggled
Hmm.
with?
You know what? To be honest, not really so much myself, man. And I talk to my friends and family, and it's not that I put a mask on. I have my down days. I have days that are hard for me, but it hasn't necessarily been for myself. But what it has been a struggle for a lot of people that I'm around. Ex girlfriends and close friends, um, and a lot of times it's something that you don't hear about. You may just like see people posting on social media, like they're going through something, and then immediately, people respond. But there's a lot of things that we keep to ourselves, mental health, things that we maybe not are aware of, or we just push under the rug. So me just coming into this year and going into next year, just being aware of, uh, you know, the reality of things, like not just in the church, not just in the body, but in the real world. Like there's just a lot of people hurting, a lot of people don't have hope. And it's actually a statistic. It says that there's a suicide every 40 seconds. I don't know the legitimacy of that statistic, but just to think that so many people are just giving up, so many people just that often is kind of something for me as a believer, as a as a servant, something that I want to kind of, bring out in music, just
Yeah.
hope and, love. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important that even if you're not battling with something, that you can still
Hmm.
be an
Hmm.
advocate for those who are.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think we don't really take that into account a lot. We think if we can't, if we don't suffer, something
Exactly.
that we can't really speak on it. I think we can speak about it and bring awareness
Hmm.
to it
Hmm.
without having gone through it. I mean, it's the same thing as
Exactly.
like a white guy speaking out against police
Right.
brutality. I mean,
Exactly.
so
Right. Exactly.
you can speak
You
to
can. Hmm.
awareness,
Hmm.
especially if you have people that suffer through it.
Hmm.
So I'm glad that you pointed that out because I think a lot of times we feel like we're not able to speak on something because we
Oh
haven't gone
yeah.
through it, and
Hmm.
so I do appreciate that you doing
Oh
that.
yeah.
And so what was your process like in making the track? Do you make the beat first? Do you do the
Um,
vocals first?
a lot of times I do make the beat first. Sometimes I get inspired from the sounds of music. So on this particular record, War, I did make the track first actually, and then the words just kind of came as I was listening to it. At that point in my life, because even still, it's like even us as believers, you know, the Bible says that He says that you will know my people by the way they love, or you will know by their fruit. And it's like sometimes it's like God, I want to make sure I'm being faithful, and I want to make sure that I'm so much is given, much is required, and being faithful over few, I'll make you faithful. I want to God, I want to in this season and the next season, I want to be faithful. I want to I want to stay in the race. It's like sometimes I think like we cover up a lot, like even us in the church or even us involved in ministry. We just put on, we just know because we know how to pour out or we know how to go into what we're gifted at or what we're doing. But I think sometimes we just don't really. It's like the sense of fellowship for some people because young folk don't go to church as much, and just to have that sense of fellowship to maybe talk about things like when you're dealing with something or when you really have struggles. So for me, it's just like sometimes I find myself pouring out a lot to people. It's not always where I'm being poured into. Like some people don't have spiritual coverings, things like that. People don't understand that. Things like or people don't see the need maybe. But I think it's just something for myself when I wrote that song, understanding like the battle, like the Bible says, it's like Paul says, it's like a war. Like I feel it warm within myself. You know what I mean? So it's just like, and then you see the country, and then you hear, not just the world. They talking about, run China, and run, So it's like war just kind of came like to me, and I wanted this song to just speak in more than one way.
Right. So what have been some of your have you done other or what are you working on now that kind of is there anything that connects with this song or is
Oh,
it so
certainly. My next song, I'm actually planning to release. No release dates just yet. Everybody be tuned, but it's a song kind of like an R&B gospel type of song. I'm gonna put out. It's called "Shine On." Shine on, like old hymn said, "It is well in my soul. It is well. It is well." So it's kind of just a song that says, they that wait on the Lord. It's like no matter what, there's hope for you. No matter what you're used to, what your life has been, there's hope. So everybody looking out for this song that I am going to be releasing, hopefully sooner than later. So I'm just kind of trying to just making music, just trying to keep working it and keep making music.
have you ever thrown a song away? Like I hear a lot of times where people have to just, get rid of something completely. Have you done that yet?
I haven't completely thrown it away, but maybe if I had plans like, oh yeah, I'm going to put this on the project, or oh yeah, I might drop this some at one point. It turns into like the song just is there in the catalog, just sitting there, and you know. But it's happened to me, yeah. Yeah, it has happened to me. There is a song that I kind of had plans for, and or especially like certainly beats. There's beats that I was like, oh yeah, I love this beat, and I do love it, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna write it, but it's just nothing that's kind of been put together at this point.
Now, if you had to put one down, would it be rapping or producing? And by put down, I mean like stop doing
Mm,
it. If you had to focus on just one.
mm. I had to focus on just one. You know what, man? That's an amazing question because for so long I've been trying to do basically both, and I sing and all. So it's like if I had to put one down, I would have to say maybe rapping because maybe that I just have to go sing on all my songs like Drake does sometimes. So
You
maybe I
gotta,
get.
gotcha. Yeah, well, I mean, if you're able to do both, man,
Right,
do what you can, do what you can.
right,
And
right.
so what are some of the there's kind of I was able to see the microphone behind you
Oh yeah,
over you. Actually, I
oh
can't
yeah.
see it. So what kind of setup do you have that you record on?
Well, this here is my production lab, so I don't really do anything too crazy here. Like I might do rough recording just to kind of hear what something sounds like. I have a performance board right here, so if I'm working on some live music, like for a wedding or for a concert, for a church or whatever. And then I have my little MIDI keyboards around here when I make my beats on. So this is kind of just my workroom that I can like get away, write in, make beats. But I don't do anything like master recording. I go to a master recording studio like to do like our masters. So
Gotcha. I know a lot of people that have their
yeah.
home studios now. For you, what's
Mhm,
the
mhm.
why would you tell somebody to go to a different studio rather than just set one up in their home?
I would just say, just especially for me, like, because I know I've even put out music that wasn't the best mix, it wasn't the best mastered. One of my songs that I recorded, I actually did it in like my boy's closet, but I think that it's like it's the quality sometimes. I think when you record at a home studio, especially if you don't have someone who's a proficient or excellent or even just a good engineer to kind of be able to do mix well and master or just bring the sounds, bring everything how it should be. I think that when you do it on your own at home, sometimes you lack the quality in the recording, and then you might even lack good mix. It can just turn into where it's not the best. But I mean, like I said, I would say if you have to do that, I don't think that you should let that stop you. But it's just kind of hard to put out because I guess they say that this is a product, even though I look at it more as in some kind of ministry, but in a sense it is a product, even if it's 99 cents on iTunes, you know, that's still a product, and you're putting out that and that represents. So, but I think that just if you want that better quality and actually have it massive mix, you kind of have to bring more, into it and just maybe record it here at home and call it a day. So
So do you listen to a lot of indie artists or any indie artists that you consistently listen to?
you know what? Not as much. I'm gonna be honest, not as much. And especially when you say independent, because it's like some guys you thought were independent, they're not really independent. So it's like honestly, the few independent artists that I've probably really listened to a lot lately are not really like they're kind of popular independent, like NF, Chance the Rapper. They're considered independent artists because they're not. Well, even NF, I think he's with Capital, so not a whole lot of indie artists, unfortunately. Um, and honestly, man, I do want to support more independent artists. I think that's maybe something that will help. We could help each other, by kind of getting in sort of collaboration. But a few artists, but not many. Like there's my guy here that I recorded in Atlanta. His name's Seek First. I've listened to his music before, but it's not a lot of indie artists right now that I'm listening to.
Gotcha. So what area do you live in currently?
I moved to Atlanta about 8 months ago, but I'm in like north, like Gwinnett County. I'm like up north, so yeah, I'm not like in the city, so I'm like kind of far out, but
Okay, that's
near
because
Swamp.
I know in one of your I see you have like you're from Louisville.
Oh, from Louisville. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's on my hometown.
Yeah, one of our music reviewer is actually from Louisville, Kentucky. So
Oh
I
wow,
wasn't sure if y'all had
that's
ever
awesome.
linked up or anything, but he does some
Right.
spoken word. But yeah,
Okay.
man, I'm
Hold
at
on, what's
the
what's his name?
his name is Kenneth Woods, but his stage name
Okay,
is
the Woods.
Kenny Fresh. I think that's what he
I
calls
think I might. Okay, I'm especially when I see him, I'm sure I probably know or at least seen him before or heard of him.
it. Cool,
But that's
cool.
awesome, man.
So I was interested. You said that you listened to NF and Chance the Rapper, which are two completely different types of artists.
Different.
So,
I don't listen to NF a lot.
okay,
I just find him interesting. Is the only reason why I haven't even listened to a lot of the songs. I just checked them out just because I heard so much about him, and you know, I just was like, let me listen to something from him. But I think it's just interesting how people just when you look at like, his numbers and it's like he's really just a low key guy. He's really like he doesn't get people aren't into his personal life and yet he has such dedicated fans and he does really well. So I think that's something I look up to in that aspect of NF and just him being true to himself. Like he says, he didn't start cussing in his music and he's not going to start cussing in his music. I really like that aspect of him. And then Chance, I always liked Chance for a little while, even before he like went fully like kind of like Christian, which I definitely believe he was a Christian. Some people just say whatever, but I like Chance because he's actually independent, and I can only imagine it being such like a Grammy a Grammy award winning independent artist. What like balancing that out, what that's like. So that's another reason why I kind of listen to these guys. I listen to people that I kind of look up to in a sense. Like I listen to Derek Minor, Lecrae, like just people that I can like kind of like learn from, get inspiration from.
so if you had to work with it, like if you had a choice to work with some people, who are some people you'd love to collab with?
I'm gonna have to say because some people will get mad at me because they say that Christians we shouldn't work with people who maybe aren't Christian, but I would definitely love to work with Ty Dolla Sign. I would love to work with Lecrae, 1K Few. Um, I would love to work with some singers as well, like Corinne Hawthorne, Aaron Cole, people like that. I would love to work with some singers. I'm a singer. People are gonna see. People are gonna see me sing more. So y'all be ready for that. I'm gonna give y'all more singing. I'm gonna just sing for y'all. But those are some artists. Those are some artists that those are some at least a few artists that I would love to work with.
So what are your thoughts on Kanye West and Jesus is King?
Yeah, my honest thoughts. Let me give you my honest thoughts. I've always been a Kanye fan since I was young, because when he came out with that Jesus Walks, that was like the only mainstream rap song that my mom let me listen to. So, but not even just that, a lot of his music, College Drop, but just a lot of his music. I always loved Kanye's music. So just seeing his transformation, in his life, not in his life, but just in his music as well. Just seeing that transformation I think is amazing. And seeing how, like I watch the Sunday service on YouTube. Um, so just seeing the live bands and all the choir, they just sound so well, and you can just see that they really are lifting up the name of Jesus. It doesn't seem like they're putting on a concert, even if it may be in that setting. But I think it's awesome. I listened to the record. There's definitely a few songs off the record that I love personally. So I mean, I'm all for. I want him. He said he's going to keep going. He's putting out more. I'm excited. I'm going to listen to it. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I saw. I think everybody's seen at this point that he's working with Dr. Dre
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
Jesus is King too. From a producer
exactly.
standpoint, why do you think that would help him?
I think for marketing, of course, more. I think marketing more than anything. I don't honestly. I haven't really kept up with the Dr. Dre's works. I've kept up with Kanye's, of course. Some of the stuff he did on his albums. He did. He produced some records on Nas's album, which I listened to a few of those. But as far as Dr. Dre, I just think this, the name, that the marketability, and then of course, it speaks. Dr. Dre's work speaks for himself. So I think that's going to be pretty big, and just maybe getting people to listen to it, and on that side who don't really listen to gospel, or don't really listen to Christian hip hop.
Yeah, I think it's also interesting that now he's doing this show with Lecrae. He's co-headlining this big
Oh
youth
wow!
event, and obviously,
Oh wow!
at some
I
point,
actually didn't know that. I didn't
oh,
know
you
that.
did,
That's awesome, man.
yeah, they just announced that. I think I saw Rapzilla, Relevant Magazine both report on it. So seeing how God can work these things together. Like,
Mm,
could you imagine like
mm.
Dr. Dre producing a Lecrae album or something like that?
Right, right,
Or
exactly.
Kanye producing a Lecrae
Yeah,
album. Uh,
yeah,
so that'd be amazing. But I know, obviously
it
there's
would
thoughts out
be.
there, well, why doesn't he
Mm,
get a Christian producer, XYZ?
right,
Um,
right.
so, you did kind of mention a
Yeah.
little bit how there's people that might be upset that you want to work with Ty Dolla $ign or whatever. In your biblical understanding,
Mm,
how do you view Christians working with non-Christians to produce art?
right. I think that to produce art, I think it would be because someone who may be a Christian, uh, architect, or someone who may be an atheist architect, would they be able to collaborate on a design for a state of the art structure or building? I think that they, like, as artists, as musicians, we should be able to create with someone who may not be a believer, or someone who may have a different faith, or atheist. I think it's a chance to be a. I think it's a chance to be a light, and some say I guess it could be a chance to stumble, but I think that like the Bible says, I think just being the salt of the earth and just being the light in dark places, for me, is what I, I myself is, or maybe someone's walk in their faith, but me, I think that it's something that should happen, especially just moving into the kind of the pop hip hop age times that we are in now. I think it's something that should happen, just because I think a lot of people look at us as Christians and think that we almost alienate ourselves in a way, and I guess we do, because we are to be set apart and to be holy. But it's like, I think sometimes, oh, you're a Christian, oh, you love Jesus, they kind of like, they think that like we're not, So me, I just look at that difference. So I would work with someone who, I would work with an artist who isn't considered, Christian artist.
Gotcha. I
Yeah.
think there's so many different angles and ways people put
Hmm.
it, and
Yep.
but yeah, man. I mean, going back to if you build a church, there's a company that's
Hmm.
that's doing the architecture, the design. Are they Christian?
Right.
Are the people who are building it Christian? How about the people that made the hammers and the nails and the
Right.
wood? Like,
Yeah.
so
It's just you
there's
get
so
to,
many
yeah,
angles, so many
exactly.
angles. So I do think being a witness is extremely
Hmm.
important. So
Hmm.
I definitely
Hmm.
agree with you there. And so one more question. I don't know how people look at this video. One of the things I asked you to start
Okay.
with is I love that picture of that mic behind you. It's
Okay.
it's staring everybody in the face. So,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful picture, man. Talk about that picture. It's kind of a weird
Hmm.
thing
It
in this
is.
interview, but yeah, man, just talk about it a little bit because I just in case
Well,
somebody wants to know.
no, definitely. My sister actually got a. She knows, because I have this little change. She knows I like old school, like the old school type, like Ray Charles, like the old school type of microphones,
Right.
and they still use them. People still use those models of microphones, but for some reason, I just like I almost have to get my own one day. So that's something my sister got for me, because she knew I was putting this production room together here in Atlanta, and she knows how much I love, like the older style of microphone. And I think she was snooping on my Instagram. She saw that these walls were blue when I was doing a video on Instagram, so she wanted the blue in here to kind of match a little bit. So she did pretty good. She did pretty good, I say.
Yeah, it looks good, man. It looks good. I like it, and it's dope that you have your own production room. I think a lot of people,
So it's a blessing.
yeah, I think a lot of people, probably envy that. But I tell people, you work with what you have. You know,
Exactly.
you always work.
Always you have to.
You always work with what you have. I've heard people say,
Mhm.
a true genius can make, a masterpiece out of anything.
It's
And,
true.
and I see that and I think it's true. I've heard
Mhm.
people talk about, a good producer can use any DAW and make a
Right.
great beat.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, so, we already kind of, you said you use Logic. Um,
Logic, yeah, Logic Pro X. Yeah.
so are you Mac over PC all day?
Um, I guess I would say only in that sense. maybe not for like video games, because I actually am a video gamer for anybody. I don't have time to play video games as much, but I still love them. I guess for like PC games and video games, you want to use a PC maybe. But me, I guess for Logic, I'm using Mac. There are guys who produce that do use those gaming PCs to produce on. So I guess, but it's like I don't really use like FL like Fruity Loops. I'm not really proficient in that much, or some other programs people use are like some people use Pro Tools. There's a few programs that people use, but me, mine is Logic, so I kind of right now I have to stay with the Mac for right now.
Right.
Maybe I have a PC just on the
Now, do you mix and master at all, or do you just produce beats?
I do a little bit of mixing, but master I just haven't quite myself. I just haven't quite got that knowledge. Um, yeah, man. Myself, I haven't really quite gotten there as a mixing and mastering like I wish I could be. To kind of maybe cut some time, cut some costs to do things like that on my own.
Right, right. So who do you go for your mixing and mastering?
Well, recently I worked with a guy here in Atlanta. His name's Phil J. He has credits with some big artists, but he's pretty good. He works in these studios off of what's that it's like Dorville or something like that. I forgot the name of the studio, but he's the most recent. Then back home, my buddy J Bump and my buddy JP. So some guys back home in Louisville that are pretty good. But I think that sometimes as an independent artist, it can be hard to find a consistent engineer or find someone to buy into your vision, or someone that can get used to your sound and your style. So I think that with the guy Phil that I met here, Phil J, it's a potential that me and him could do some works for a while, because we worked really well and we kind of gelled pretty quickly.
That's pretty cool.
So,
Yeah. I've seen Phil J's name in a lot of different places.
Okay.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't point out specifically what he's done, but I've definitely heard that name enough to know that he works. So that's pretty cool, man. Well, Jamal, I appreciate you, doing this independent artist spotlight, letting people see a little bit more into yourself. There's so much more that people, desire to know about an artist more than just their music, especially if their music's dope. If the music ain't good, most people don't really care. I mean, it sounds bad, but that's just the way it is. But I do like the fact that you have put some work into your production, and so I just I kudos you on that and not trying to do too much. So you said you had a new single that you're working on.
I do have new music that I'm working on, a single that I'm going to be releasing. So everyone be on the lookout for that. It's going to be called Shine On. Very, inspiration and faith based, type of song. And I'm just working with other artists. I met some artists here in the Atlanta area, so I'm just excited for what's in store. I'm just working, y'all. So y'all pray for me. I'm just trying to stay on the field.
Yeah, man. So where can everybody follow you at to keep up with you?
Everyone can follow me, Jamal Brown. You can follow me at Jamal on all social media outlets. That's JMAWLLY, Jamal with a W. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube is going to be Jamal Brown. You can look me up on YouTube, just Jamal Brown. And y'all get with me, y'all.
All right, man. Well, Jamal, appreciate you taking the time and looking forward to seeing what you got coming up next, man.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
All right.
All right.
Cool. Cool. Awesome. So